What if your low motivation isn't the problem? And it never was. Because the science shows that effort isn't what makes habits stick. In fact, relying on constant effort may be one of the reasons why your behavior change keeps collapsing. Hi, I'm Danny. I'm the owner and head coach OPEX Bristol, and today I'm doing a deep dive into one of the most promising areas in behavior change research: identity-based behavior change. In the last video, we talked about how forcing willpower is a bit like shoving a square peg into an already very sore round hole. Things only get more uncomfortable as time goes on. I'll link that video here if you haven't seen it. In that video, I said I'd go deeper into one of the most effective strategies we have for creating change, with less friction, less burnout, and far better odds that you'll actually stick to your habits even when stress is high. So in this video, we're going to unpack what identity-based change actually means, why it works when motivation doesn't, and most importantly, how you can start actually applying it. Here we go. So first off, what is identity-based change? James Clear in Atomic Habits famously describes identity-based change as focusing not on what you want to achieve, but who you want to become. Think of it like this. A goal is something that you're trying to do. Identity is who you believe you are, and your brain is constantly asking, is this something people like me do? I forgot the butt plug. I need a butt plug. Here's a pretty visceral way to imagine it. Bear with me on this one. Imagine the habit of going to the gym 6 days a week, a bit like wearing a butt plug for a week. This is mine. You'll have to get your own. Now, for some of you, you could willpower through it, but every step would feel, well, like you have a foreign object in a place that you really hoped would remain exit only. It's uncomfortable, it's distracting, and you're just counting down the minutes until you can get home, take it out, and finally relax. That's almost exactly what it feels like when you try to force a fitness influencer lifestyle on an identity that's just not ready for it. Every gym session and green smoothie is a clench, but there are plenty of people out there who not only wouldn't find this an issue, they'd enjoy it. To them, it's not a foreign object. It's a choice. It fits who they are. There's zero friction. And this is the important bit. The difference isn't discipline, it's identity. One person is forcing behavior that feels alien. The other is acting in a way that just feels normal. And your brain treats those two situations very differently. Effort is expensive, and your brain will spend effort when things are calm. But the moment that stress shows up, it starts cutting costs. And the first thing it cuts? Anything that feels forced. Anything that feels like effort. But identity-based change survives stress. When you're stressed, tired, or your boss is being a nightmare, your goal brain, the part that cares about 5Ks and protein grams, effectively shuts down. It's too expensive to run. And this is where most people fail. But the science shows that identity is kind of stress-proof. While goals live in the high-rent logical part of the brain, identity-based habits live in what's called the basal ganglia, the primitive autopilot section. You don't willpower your way into locking your front door when you're stressed. You just do it because that's what you do. Goals break under pressure. If you miss a goal, you feel like a failure and you quit. Whereas identity, it bends. If you identify as a healthy person and you miss a workout, you don't spiral. You brush it off and you plan the next session. So the question is, how do we use identity-based change for good, not evil? And there are plenty of theories on how to do this, but here's the exact 4-step framework that we use at OPEX Bristol to turn theory into practice. Step 1, we clarify what actually matters. We don't start by asking, what should you do? We ask, what do you actually value? Every one of us has a unique hierarchy of values, a set of priorities that we tend to live by, consciously or unconsciously. When we look at where we spend our time, our money, the things in our life that energizes us, and the things that we just won't shut up about, you'll start to see common themes. Now, when you start to try and force a habit that doesn't align with those values, you'll find yourself constantly needing motivation and discipline just to get started. It feels like a constant uphill battle, because we're just trying to force the habits that we should be doing. But when a habit is linked to what you already value, we don't need a pep talk. We're way more likely to just do. If your highest value is business or wealth, we don't talk about abs. We talk about how physical vitality will help your cognitive performance, how being fit make brain good to you or I. You train because it makes you a sharper, more profitable version of yourself. Exercise make richer. If your highest value is family, we don't talk about gym PRs. We talk about being the grandparent who's an actual participant in their grandkids' lives and not just a spectator in a chair. We aren't trying to change those values. We're aligning your training so that it actually serves them. And when you see that exercise isn't just an extra task, but it's actually a requirement for the things that you already love, well then the friction starts to disappear. Step 2, we turn our values into a believable identity. Once we know what you value, we translate it into a people like me statement. But there's a rule. It has to be believable. If you've been on the sofa for 3 years and you tell your brain, I'm a world-class athlete, your brain is going to laugh at you and the rejection will happen pretty instantly. We want non-heroic specific statements. Not, I'm a fitness freak, but I'm someone who looks after my body. Not, I never miss a workout, but I'm someone who moves a little every single day. Step 3, we prove that identity with tiny contextual habits and routines. This is where the rubber really starts to meet the road. We don't ask, how much can you do when you're motivated? We ask, what will you still do on your worst, most stressful, normal day? Not the day where you turn up to work with no trousers and then get into a car crash on the way home, but those stressful days that probably make up 50% of your year. We then attach that tiny proof to a context. After I brush my teeth, I act like someone who cares about their mobility and I stretch for 3 to 5 minutes. Or at lunch, I act like someone who eats properly and I add 1 palm of protein. You aren't trying to get fit in one day. You're casting a single vote for your new identity. And every time you do that tiny thing, you're telling your brain, see, I'm not a lazy piece of shit. I'm the kind of person who does this. Step 4, notice the evidence and progress the system. This is the bit that most people miss. You have to acknowledge the win, but you have to praise the identity and not the outcome. So we're not saying, I did my squats today. We're saying, today I acted like the kind of person who looks after their body. That simple shift in internal dialogue is how you start to rewrite your story. It's no longer pass-fail in a single moment. It's you working on becoming the person that you want to be in the future. Now, the final big question. When do we progress this? We only add more weight, more reps, or more days when the current habit feels automatic. When it survives a bad week. When it feels like just what I do. This is important. Progression should serve your identity and not your ego. So to summarize, you don't change by trying harder or clenching until your teeth break. You become the person you want to be by acting like them today in tiny, repeatable ways. Until your brain realizes it's not a foreign object anymore. It's just you. That's how behavior becomes natural and not forced. If you want help building a system that actually stays in place when life gets messy, click the link below and arrange a chat with us. We work one-on-one with clients right here in Bristol, but we also coach clients remotely all over the world. And that's it from me. If you enjoyed this video, our YouTube overlords think you'll love this next one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.